Okay, super excited to talk about this portion of Growth Engine. I really personally love working on this part because it makes everything work together. Calibrate is part of Growth Engine that fixes what happens after the click. If your ads are getting plenty of clicks, but sales are still unpredictable, this is usually where things break down. So in this video, I wanted to walk you through how to turn that curiosity of a prospect into conviction using pre-landers, high-performing product detail pages, and bundles to lift both conversion and average order value. Because once you get this right, scaling stops feeling random, and it all starts to click together in a way that's super calm, controlled, and predictable, and completely aligned with your message, your customer, and your ads, so you're not recreating the entire strategy. Let's start with a simple picture of Calibrate and how it actually works. So your ads create interest. You fill the top of funnel, you go out into the market, showcase what you need to do. Your pre-lander builds belief, and your product detail page closes the sale. That's the entire journey. It's super simple, and that's how simple you need to look at this view. Here's where most brands fall apart. They send cold traffic straight to the product page. That playbook used to work years ago when audiences were just buying anything online. There wasn't much competition. It was easier to navigate on social platforms, but there's so much noise now. And today, especially on Meta and YouTube, it's game over if you're skipping the context. Cold traffic doesn't know you. They don't know the problem, the promise, and what makes you different. And people's attention spans don't help. So they click, they skim, and then bounce. But when you give them that bridge, when you actually guide them from the curiosity standpoint to understanding, everything changes because you control the narrative. Click-through rates stay high, add to carts rise, and conversions go up because of it, without spending a single dollar on your ads. And that bridge is essentially called your pre-lander. And think of your pre-lander as the sales page before the sales page. It's not there to sell your product. It's there to prepare people to buy. Here's why it works so well. It controls the narrative before people actually hit your product detail page. It filters out any window shoppers and keeps high intent visitors really active and onto the product detail page. And it warms up people emotionally. So by the time they hit your product detail page, they're already 80% convinced. And then how you lay out the PDP actually comes into play, and which we'll go into later on in the video. So a good pre-lander doesn't feel like an ad. It's not an extension of an ad. It just feels like proof. It needs to be real, it needs to be useful, and it needs to be story driven because you're holding someone's hand and taking them through the journey. Now, there are 4 types that consistently outperform everything else for me. Let's run through the 4 proven pre-lander types quickly. The first one is listing. These are your top 5 reasons it solves X problem. It's simple, it's scannable, and it's great for fast-moving niches like wellness and home goods. Each point bridges pain, benefit, and a subtle call to action. It's perfect for those evergreen offers where curiosity is already high. The second one is an advertorial. This is your magazine-style story. It's ideal for skeptical or high-ticket products like skincare or supplements, and it basically walks the reader through why it works, not just what it does. This is where you can add visuals and testimonials and add data to build authority. The third type is your quiz, and this is almost like an interactive discovery. It's perfect for unaware and problem-aware traffic. It helps them to self-diagnose and naturally points them to your product. This is where you can add a soft urgency at the end, a timer where they can see their results, and then you prompt them to either capture their email or send them to their product detail page to complete the purchase. And the fourth and the final one that works really well for me is the comparison or the story page. It's essentially a why this versus that. It's best used for when you're in a really competitive space and you need to dominate and really differentiate yourself. You make a visual side by side. This is where you can show screenshots, reviews, customer stories that highlight your edge and your products. Now, the key is matching the right pre-lander to the right awareness level, because if you just create the pre-lander and hope to send all traffic there, it's not going to work. So what's worked for me is making sure that I segment the type of traffic. Most of the time it's cold traffic, and you need to figure out and segment what's their intent level. So this is how I look at it. Anyone that's unaware of your brand or product, I would send them to a quiz or advertorial. Anyone that's problem aware, I would send them to a listicle or a story page. Anyone that's product aware, you show them a side-by-side comparison or send them straight to an offer page. That's where you give them the bundles and get them to check out. The next click from your pre-lander to the product detail page feels completely natural. Chances are your conversion rate is going to go off the roof. All right, so let's move to the next step, the product detail page. This is where belief turns into action. And if the pre-lander does its job, your product detail page needs to close the deal fast. Here's what the best ones always include. So let's start with above the fold, a clear headline and a value stacked offer, a strong, sticky call to action that's easy to find, high contrast, and then you put in instant proof with star ratings or short reviews or trusted bylines. Works really well. Your pricing should be clear, no unnecessary clutter above the fold, because this is your prized real estate at this point. Then the customer scrolls down mid-page. This is a good opportunity for you to recap your top 3 benefits. You use lifestyle images, show the product in use, not just floating on white space. Add some trust boosters as well, some guarantees, some free shipping options if that's a thing, or discounted shipping, and show them the local payment options, because if you're functioning in different markets, people trust different payment methods. So I think this is another underutilized strategy. Then you move on to the bottom of your page. This is a good place to put all your reviews, because you're just trying to close the deal now at this point with a soft call to action. And this is where you can add a little soft urgency, like it's selling fast, your offer ends soon, just remind people really subtly. This is also where your bundles belong. And bundles are your conversion amplifiers. It's not just a distraction that you just chuck on there because everyone else is doing it. You position them right under the price, above your main call to action. And a typical structure that I normally go for is your single, your 2-packs, your 3-packs. Single is for first timers. That's usually what they buy because they haven't bought your product yet. The 2-packs are the best sellers. This is the default option typically. And your 3-packs are the best value. Max discount. You get those people who are already kind of familiar with your product. So you basically highlight savings per unit, not just the total price. You add some social proof. The main thing here is to keep it simple. 1 click and 0 distractions. Now here's the glue that ties it all together, consistency. Your pre-lander and your product detail page should feel like they're part of the same story. Use the same visuals, the same tone, and the same message. Keep your headline logic consistent. If your pre-lander says the science-backed sleep patch that actually works, don't let them on a product detail page that opens up with saying, welcome to our store, or something that doesn't even address that, what you've just said in the pre. And make sure they land directly on the product or the variant that you're actually advertising on the pre-lander. If you tease bundles earlier, show them that immediately. This keeps momentum alive. And I think you get the point of where I'm going with this. The brain stays in yes mode, and that's when you want to actually position your offers. Now, once everything's live, this part is simple. No one really talks about this ever. No one cares about optimizations and stuff, but I think measuring and fine-tuning weekly is the name of the game. It applies for these landing pages as well, and calibrating it consistently. In order to do that successfully, you need to track these 4 numbers every single week. The first one is your pre-lander to your product detail page click-through. You need to aim for about 40 to 60%. Your add to cart rate should be between 3 to 6%. Your product detail page conversion rate needs to be between 2 to 5%. Your average order value, depending on your product, but you want to target a 15 to 25% lift every single week. Each week, you want to typically run one test, tweak a headline, move the call to actions around, move the images, reposition your bundles maybe if you're not hitting those numbers. You're not chasing perfection, and you're compounding small wins, because it's not about drastic measures you take, but it's about those incremental increases, right? So a bunch of 10% lifts turns into a 2 times business over time. So what you want to do is just stay disciplined with your testing and consistent, and that's really important. And essentially, that's Calibrate, the part of Growth Engine where your ad system turns into a growth system. It's not just about clicks anymore at this stage. It's about belief, it's about momentum, and the value that you show to your customers, all working together to drive profit. When your pre-landers warm people up and your product detail pages close the sale, scaling stops being stressful and starts being predictable. And then you can reinvest those dollars in your profit into acquisition. If you want my templates or listicles, quizzes, or anything like that, or just simply product detail page layouts and any advice on that, just message me the word Calibrate on Instagram, or you can join our free community, meet other founders. That's why I drop trainings like this. But yeah, hit us up in our free community. It's called Assembly, and keep it simple. Bridge the curiosity to conviction and let your product detail page close.